All right, we're going to try this again. The first time I started, I don't know what happened, but I wasn't able to make it work. I think I had the camera flipped around and everything. Anyways, thank you for joining me. I'm Rachel Tessman with StampYourArtOut.com, and I'm going to be showing you a fun card today. If you're watching this later after I upload it to YouTube, just keep in mind that I'm interacting with others, or possibly interacting. Right now I have nobody with me, but I am on Facebook Live, so there might be some conversation going on, things like that. So I'm going to flip the camera around and I'm going to talk about the fun card. Okay, let's click the right button here. All right, so let's put the camera into a little holder here. Looks like I have someone with me. I'm going to put my reading glasses on too so I can see any conversations that might be happening. Okay, well, welcome to anybody who's joining me. Thank you. I'm going to be showing you a fun card tonight, but first I want to mention this holiday catalog is really the inspiration behind a lot of the things that I'm going to do in this card. This holiday catalog is new. It came out September 1st from Stampin' Up, and it includes so many wonderful things in here that we have demonstrators everywhere, and non-demonstrators too, sharing lots of fun ideas on Pinterest, on Facebook groups, you name it. There's tons of ideas out there. I even did a swap recently, so I got tons of ideas from that too. I'm going to move this out of the way, but I just again want you to note that I'm at StampYourArtOut.com if you would like to visit me on my blog. Okay, let's take a look at the card that I'm going to show you how to make tonight. So this is the fun masculine card, and you'll notice that there's some trees on there, a deer, some plaid type design here on the paper, and inside we have a place for a gift card. So, and that gift card, by the way, has already been used. So this was a gift card from a long time ago. It has a huge amount on it, but yeah, I don't think I could afford to give that in this card. Who knows? It depends on who I'm giving it to. If it's my husband, sure. Why not? But here, it's just a fun card that has a little gift card pocket for it. And I'm going to show you the steps that I did to make that. And again, I don't know who to credit for a lot of these little things that I'm doing on this card. Brayering the designer paper. Gosh, that's been around for a long time, but I recently saw someone doing it with this fun designer paper, and I can't name who it was. So anyways, if I don't give you credit, I'm so sorry, but I will, if there's someone specific out there that I recall along the way, I will make sure that I note it in my blog post. And I'm going to share this on my blog on September 19th. So if you want to come back later on and see it on my website, you'll be able to rewatch the video and then also see some close-up photos and see the list of supplies and all that. Okay, here we go. Hey, Sandy's with us. Thanks, Sandy. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with talking about the supplies that you'll need if you're going to recreate this card. The stamp set, the main stamp set, is called Merry Little Labels, and it coordinates with a punch. In fact, if you get the Everyday Label Punch and this together, you save 10%. So they're a great, fun product that's in the holiday catalog right now. I'm also going to be using some dies. Oh, I don't have them all on here. That's because they're somewhere else on my table. But some dies, which include the trees and the little deer. Those are from a collection of dies called Card Front Builders, and those are also in the holiday catalog. I'm going to be using some designer paper, and I only have a little bit of it right here, but let's see if I can find my stack. Oh yes, lots of little bits and pieces from here. This is a collection of designer paper called Merry Little Christmas. Merry Little Christmas, and it has black and white designs on one side, and then it's got the old olive color on the other side. So it's a really nice, versatile collection of papers in that you can do some brayering. So we're going to actually color this paper, and I'll show you how to do that, give you some tips on that. I've already punched this with the Everyday Label Punch, but we are going to go ahead and use the For You with Memento black ink. Hey, Deb's with us. Hi from Ontario, Canada. Yay. And we're going to stamp that onto some Whisper White cardstock. So I'll demonstrate how to do that. I don't know if we have any beginner stampers out there, but if we do, I want to make sure that I'm giving good directions for you. So these little pieces here, the old olive cardstock, and the copper foil paper are going to be cut with those dies. Again, these are dies, and basically how you use them is you put them on your paper and run them through a machine called the Big Shot, and it cuts them lickety-split quick. It's so wonderful. Some other supplies that we'll use will be the Cherry Cobbler ink. So we have two inks, the Memento Black and the Cherry Cobbler. We have sponging tools. I've got a sponge dauber, and I've got a sponge brayer in here. And then another punch is the 1-inch circle punch. Again, these supplies will all be listed on my September 19th blog post, so you can come back and look at all them because I don't really have them in any order. I'm just kind of grabbing things off the desk. I've also got some Old Olive 1/8-inch ribbon. This is beautiful ribbon. It's called sheer because you can see slightly through it. And then I've got a piece of basic black cardstock that I've already cut in half. So this piece was 8.5 by 11. I cut it in half this way at the 4 1/4 mark. So half of 8.5 is 4 1/4. And then I scored it in the middle. This is how you make a basic card. Then what I did is I put another fold at the, I want to make sure I give you the right dimension. I think it's 3 1/4. Yep, 3 1/4 inch mark. Or this is 3 1/4 inch wide, but I scored it when I put it in my trimmer. I scored it at 2 1/4. So what I did is I put it into my paper trimmer, scored it at 2 1/4, and then 5 1/2, which would bring it into that half mark for folding it in half. So that's going to tuck in this way like that for the pocket. Okay. Another color cardstock that we'll use is the Pear Pizzazz, which is a nice complementary color to the Old Olive. Let's see, I'm seeing just a couple other tools on the table. I see my adhesives. I use snail adhesive often. I use the tear and tape on this card. I'm going to be using a couple glue dots and then my paper snips. All right, let's get started. We'll start with one of the hardest steps. It actually takes a while, and I've already got some finished, so you don't have to watch me do the whole thing. But we're going to start with sponging some paper. So I'm just going to move all this stuff out of the way and bring out my sponging tools and my Cherry Cobbler ink. Hey, Vicky's on with us too. Hey, Vicky. And so I'm going to go ahead and use the sponge brayer first. So what I do is I just kind of ink it up. I've already inked it up a little bit already, as you can tell. This will just clean off by, if you run it under the water in the sink, all of this ink should run off, because this color that I'm using right now is water soluble, so it comes off pretty easily. And then you just leave your paper on your grid paper or scrap paper underneath, and you just go back and forth. And so we're applying some color evenly, just to kind of get it used to getting some color on there. And then we're going to come back, and you can do that a couple times if you want to. We're going to come back with one of these, because this will douse on a little bit more color. And my trick for getting nice even color is to take your sponge or your sponge dauber, that's this thing here, and to go in a circular motion. So if you go around like this, you can add that color, and it's softly added. It's not pounced on, so you don't see all those little speckles and stuff. So, and the more you put on, the darker the color will get, obviously. And you'll also notice that my fingers and my fingernails will start to stain. So it is a messy step, but it's okay, because, you know, art can be messy. So you can see I'm getting it nice and deep. And see how dark it is down here, and up here it's a little lighter. So then I'll just know to come back up here and do that a little bit more. And now I have that nice red plaid, you know, flannel shirt look, right? So you would do that on all three of these pieces. The measurements for these pieces are 4 inches tall, 3 inches wide, 2 inches wide, 1 inch wide. Okay, so you can get 6 of these out of one sheet of 12 by 12. Okay, so again, 4 inches by 3, 4 inches by 2, 4 inches by 1. So let's say that I've colored all those and we've set them aside. So I'm going to go ahead and set these aside as well. And then you can go and wash your fingers or lick them. I was doing this card last night in a class, and I think my fingernail polish is starting to come off because it actually got between the fingernail polish and the fingernail. So I can't even clean that out. I tried soaking it. So ignore that. It's not anything gross. It's just ink. Okay, so next what we'll do is we will add we've already folded this, and again the measurements were 2 1/4 and this section's 3 1/4, so you're going to score it at 2 1/4, 5 1/2. And now we'll add this piece to the inside. So I'll just grab my snail, do that real quick. If I'm going too fast, let me know, you guys, because I am trying to respect the fact that I want to get this done in 20 minutes to 30 minutes tops. Hopefully even less than that, we'll see. And now we're ready to add the designer paper. So, oopsie, sorry about the reach there. So this designer paper strip is just going to go along the side like that. And I think I put that about 1/4 of an inch in. Oh yeah, something else to notice. Do you see how your papers kind of all fit together like that? If I were to flip this one around, the lines wouldn't flow. So you want to make sure that when you're cutting your 3 pieces, that you cut them from the same 4 by 6 inch section of your designer paper. Okay, so we're going to add this up here on the right. And again, it's about 1/4 of an inch in from the edge of my Pear Pizzazz color. And then let's go ahead and stamp onto our Whisper White cardstock. And again, this is just a scrap. It doesn't matter what size it is. But we're going to stamp onto that with our Just For You image, again from that stamp set called Merry Little Labels. So pounce up and down and stamp it. And I think it's best to stamp first and then punch, especially, well, yes, for sure when you're using wooden stamps, because you can't see through the wooden stamps. But when you're using photopolymer, you kind of have a choice between the two, and I still find it's easier to stamp first and then punch. And I like to turn my punch upside down to do that. Okay, let's set that out of the way. So I've got these 2 pieces. This one was previously punched. We're just going to slice that in half now. Through the magic of television. There we go. I have a piece sliced in half. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and add some adhesive onto the back side, just on the 2 edges here. And we'll add these copper little label halves to the back side of that. And you see what I'm doing here? I'm making it look as if I've got a layer, but it's not really, it's not larger than the actual everyday label punch. It's the same punch, but we're just going to have a gap in the middle. Now, and you will see, if I can bring this up here a little bit, you will see a little bit of that at the top and bottom. So just be aware of those when you're doing that. You can always trim it if it bugs you. It really doesn't bug me, which is strange because I'm bugged by a lot of things. I'm kind of a perfectionist, but that doesn't bug me for some reason. Okay, so now I've got that done. And then we're just going to add this again with snail. We don't need to lift it up with dimensionals or anything, because this card is going to be thick enough with a gift card in it. So we'll just add that about there. Okay, and then the other paper pieces, let's say that I've already sponged them. This one, making sure everything's the same direction, this one will go here, and this one will go here. Okay, so I kind of have that done. Let me peel this off and stick it onto this card instead. I kind of have that done on here. Ta-da! Look how fast that was. Okay, so there's there's that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to punch a hole into this little edge here. You can use really any circle punch, or you could even use the everyday label punch if you wanted to give it a unique look. But you just want to punch a little section out here so that you have a place for that gift card to be seen, so that they know something's in there, because you know that pocket's actually really deep and it could disappear if you don't have a little notch there. And then you'll also use some tear and tape adhesive, and we'll just grab, it doesn't really matter how much, a couple inches. But where you'll want to put that is very close to the outer edges, so the top and the bottom. Oh, thanks, Kathy. Very close to the top and the bottom, and very close to this outer edge here. And if you have a large gift card, you may have to adjust that, maybe trim these or whatever. Some gift cards come in a larger size than the average, so check that before you actually make your card if you have a specific gift card in mind. And then you'll just fold that over like that, and that's how you get that pocket. Of course, we're going to tie on the ribbon, and during my class last night, I had some people attend and they made this same card. I gave them this length of ribbon, and we had to hold on to the little spot in the middle here because I really did not give enough ribbon to do the bow like you saw on the finished card. So instead of doing that and trying to, instead of embarrassing myself on live Facebook, I'm just going to do a knot for now. You can go back and do a bow if you want to with your pieces if you'd like, but a knot is just fine. Okay, so then what do we have left? We have left these wonderful trees. So I've already run these through the Big Shot, and they're ready to kind of punch out of the paper that they were cut through. I've got a couple of these leaves. This die here that was in the set actually creates two separate leaves like that. And then I cut out the little deer already, the little doe. Okay, so then this one just goes on with, and if you want to, you know, I just thought of this. If you want to, you can sponge the trees with old olive ink to make them stand out a little bit more, but you don't necessarily have to do that. Let's put this a little higher here, about there. And then this one you could put on dimensionals, but again, I was worried about too thick of a card. I thought with a gift card in there, it might be too thick to add dimensionals to this. And so there's the little trees. And then to get these pieces on, that's where we bring in the supply that we haven't quite shown how to use yet, and that's the little glue dots. So we'll stick our deer here. We'll stick our little leaves. See, the glue dots are perfect for this. Little leaves here. Just tuck it in, and one more right about here. Okay, and again, I am going to post this on my blog at stampyourartout.com on September 19th. So if you missed this broadcast, well, you actually could go back and look at it again if you'd like to. But if you wanted to come back later on and see it with close-up photos of these cards and a supply list and measurements written out, again, visit me at stampyourartout.com on September 19th. Okay, let's turn this around. Thank you all for joining in. Look, I have my reading glasses on. I was able to read comments while I was demonstrating. Anyways, thank you. It meant a lot to me that you joined me, and because it's always fun to share. I love teaching. I hope that you'll join me for the next Facebook Live little stamping class. Bye-bye, everyone.